FYI, and a pleasure to catch up with Clinton Mayor Scott Maddasion. We got a lot to talk about, Scott. Let's get started. Legislative session is now underway.
Yeah. So every January, obviously, our Iowa legislature gets in session, and they started this week. Shout out to Tom Detterman who just started his term in the House, which is cool. And Senator Knoyer is working again with us too. She got reelected, so that's awesome. We've got a great team to work with. But it's always interesting to see what type of bills get proposed because you never know, I guess.
So what are some of the things you're looking at that you would like to see get done?
I don't really have anything specifically that I'd like to see get done, and I don't know as our group Grow Clinton in town and our county here. I don't think we have a lot of priorities. In the past, we had done the hotel motel tax and specific things like that. We don't necessarily have any specifics that we're shooting for at the moment, but we are looking for a couple things. We're working a little bit on some changes to a piece of legislation in regards to education and state funding and last dollar scholarship, because we have a school that wants to move into the Ashford campus, and we need a little bit of a change to help that process go along. So that's one thing that's kind of on the radar, not necessarily a huge thing, but something that we're working on. And then there's just we're always looking at the state's always trying to streamline things and make things easier for citizens, and you can tell just from the condition of the state or the start of the legislature that the governor did the other day and what the legislation has proposed already. You can tell that they're really focused on taxes and trying to make the state of Iowa more competitive as far as so people can move here and live here, and that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on.
Of course, we visit with you the second Thursday. Of the third Thursday, we have Gary DeLacy. And how much in contact are you with Gary?
We talk to Gary quite a bit. We work with them whenever we need to, and we keep everybody in a loop. I do think we probably should have more dialogue during this time than maybe we have in the past, just because obviously they levy property taxes on their own, and we do as a city, and the county does, and it'd be really nice to have all three parties at the table and kind of have a discussion like, hey, here's where we're headed, because ultimately we all try to keep our levy low. But if we're working in conjunction with each other, then as a team, then we're keeping it low across the board for everybody. So I think that's always on the table, obviously.
Again, visiting with Mayor Scott Maddasion. Now, this I find very interesting on your notes, and I appreciate this. If I were mayor, talk about that.
Yeah, so the state of Iowa, the League of Cities, does a contest every year. It's called If I Were Mayor, and kids write in what they would do in their city if they were mayor, and they send it in. It's a big state competition, and we recently started this last year, the Mayor's Youth Commission. We got that back and going, and Councilmember Greg Oberon is our liaison to that. He's doing a wonderful job. He kind of runs it all. It's the Mayor's Youth Commission, but it's almost like Greg's commission because he's doing a great job. But
I could see him doing really well.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, and he did it as a staff member back when he was Parks and Rec, and they had it in the past. So he's got a lot of knowledge with it, which is cool. He thought it would be awesome. We saw it in the League of Cities book that if we did a local contest. So we put it together, and the Mayor's Youth Commission got to the schools, got everything out there in the 7th grade. We got a lot of essays back. They read through all of them. They trimmed them down, picked their winners, and then we had a presentation at the council meeting the other night with our first, second, and third place. So Lila was first, Grace was second, and Leah was third. They got some Apple gift cards, some city coins, and a little bit of recognition, which is really cool. And the awesome thing is I liked reading those essays because there's actually some stuff in there that we could put into the capital improvements program. We might be able to get done, right? Which is cool to hear from the youth, and then maybe try to work some of those things in there. And obviously there's some things that not feasible or you can't do, but it's just really cool hearing the ideas and seeing what the eyes of a 7th grader, what they think we should do in Clinton.
Do you recall what a couple of those ideas were, or what they would do if they were mayor?
Yeah, so there was one of them thought we needed a skating rink again, and I remember going to the skating rink over in Comanche when I was little, and there was some work with handicap accessibility as far as the Clinton pool and the parks and things like that. So that's something that Josh Eggers is always on his forefront, but it was cool to see that from a younger person. And then different things. not some of the winners, but some of the other ones. Everybody wants a Chick-fil-A, things like that. So there's a lot of variety on there. And then I know Lila was big on helping the homeless in the community, and that was a big push on her essay too, which is something that the YWCA is working diligently on. That's part of their thing, and other groups in town. So some stuff is kind of right in line with what we're doing. So.
And of course, that was at the city council meeting, and you like doing things like that. And you said you also like swearing in new officers.
Yeah, we had a new police officer come on board, Troy. He's a young guy, just got out of the academy. I think I actually knew Troy before he got hired, which is cool. And he's a really, really good person, and I think he's going to be a great part of the team. And it's nice bringing on and getting to swear in those folks. And I guess my military background, kind of the ceremony and the swear-in thing, it's just kind of neat to be able to do that. And it's always good to bring on those new public safety. And we're going to be hopefully. Well, not hopefully. We got the SAFER grant on the fire department, so they're going to have 6 new firefighters by March. That's a grant that pays for everything for them, salaries, benefits for 3 years, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then we're in the budget season coming up here, so obviously we always look at staffing levels and do we need more of this or that. So I'd like to see maybe a couple more officers out there on the street, but it all depends on what the council wants to do when they're allocating funds.
And before we take a break for the weather, let's talk a little bit about that budget.
Yeah, the budget is probably the most important thing that the council decides on and talks about, and myself with the city staff, and that's usually about 3 or 4 meetings because there's a lot of going through it, and we're starting that around the 19th, and then we'll continue to push through. Some of the funds are pretty easy, like the solid waste. We have trash fees and things like that. They kind of run themselves, but the general fund is the one that's run off property taxes and things like that, and that's always the one that's very difficult to get through because you want everything, but you don't have enough money to have everything, so you have to kind of try to find that balance to make sure we're providing the services we need for the citizens, but then we're also being fiscally responsible at the same time.
I know, trying to put together a household budget can be difficult. I can't imagine what it's like trying to put together a city budget.
Yeah, just imagine if your household budget was $18 million and you had to pay for everything, right?
Yeah. And it's got to balance.
It has to balance, absolutely. Unlike the federal government, we have to actually balance the budget, and the state does too. But I think there's a lot of principles on your household budget that you can carry into working on the city budget, because you have to have certain things, you want some things, and then some things are maybe just a bonus if you can, right? So I think if you look at that perspective, and I always look at it too, I know it's not all my money, but I kind of look at it as in a sense, like, would I do that? Would I, borrow that money for that? Would I do that? And I don't know, maybe that just simplifies my mind a little bit because I'm a lender by day, you know what I mean? And I do that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think if you look at it from that perspective, it's not as scary. It's just the numbers have more zeros than my bank account does.
Now, is this something that the city has to do every year, Scott?
Absolutely. Yep. Every year. We have to have a budget certified and completed by March 31st every single year to the state. So the counties are the same way. So every January, we don't know our valuation number, which is the assessed value of the city, which is how we base property taxes. We don't get that number till the end of December, beginning of January. And once we get that number, we'll know what the assessed value is. We'll know, what the property taxes are based on the levy, and then we can start determining, hey, we need X amount of millions for this department, and then we start shuffling things around until we get it into a good realm. And we're below our 10-year average on the levy right now. We've lowered it 3 years in a row, albeit, a couple cents here, a couple cents there, and I think it was a larger jump last year, but we're hopefully going to be able to maintain that or even lower it a little bit more.
Is that primarily the responsibility of the city administrator to present this information to the board?
With the finance director. So Anita, our finance director, okay. She works hand in hand with Matt. They kind of prepare the budget. So Anita works with the department heads. The department heads prepare their budget. They get them to Anita. Okay. She works with department heads, and then her and Matt work together on the kind of the whole thing. And Anita will be actually the one that presents the budget, so to speak, when we go to our budget meetings. But obviously, Matt is there to back up everything and have conversations and talk about the different things too, because he's the one that supervises, the whole city crew. So
very interesting. We'll have more with Scott Maddasion. A break for the weather brought to you by Electronics.
Happy Thursday. We are going to be a lot more seasonal for us today. Most are going to stay dry, but we will have a lot of cloud cover to deal with through the afternoon. Highs are going to be a lot cooler in the mid to upper 30s, and we will see some breezy winds, which will make it feel like the upper 20s. Heading into this evening and tonight, there's going to be a chance for a couple of flurries, especially for our Illinois hometowns. And overnight low is going to be cooler in the mid 20s. This has been your Storm Track 8 weather update from meteorologist Morgan Strackby.
Things haven't changed much. Overcast, 35 degrees, north winds. Our update brought to you by Electronics.
Electronics Incorporated, the area's largest communications and alarm systems company, where their number one goal is customer service. Their quality work in a timely manner keeps you connected to the world. Electronics technicians realize that communication is the key to your company's productivity and profit. Their professional team has decades of experience that bring you the best possible service. Electronics Incorporated, 522 North 2nd Street, Clinton, or go to electronicsinc.com.
Visiting with Scott Maddasion. I always enjoy visiting during the break. You bring up some interesting things. TNT, Tailgate and Tall Boys. How's that coming along?
Yeah, I like to highlight this whenever we can, because obviously it's a huge thing that's coming to our community this coming summer. I guess it's already this coming summer. Yeah. We're like 150 days out.
Is that what it is?
It's crazy. But yeah, if you've been out and about, radio, TV. I guess not so much radio yet, but mainly TV. We're starting to get advertising out there. We're working on our radio spots to start getting those going everywhere. So a lot of advertising's happening. Right now, what we're really focused on is continuing to get information out to the citizens. We're going to be working with KROS and MAC and the Clinton Herald to set up some monthly kind of informational meetings. Right. I don't know if we have it pinned down how we're going to actually do that yet.
I know Josh is going to be coming in on the fourth Thursday of every month to kind of update us on how things are going. So that's what we've got kind of set up.
Cool. Yeah. And then so we're going to continue to work with our local partners to get information out to the citizens, because really we want everyone to have all the information so they're not blindsided by anything on those 3 days. So they understand the flow of traffic. They understand where people are going to be at. They understand all of those different things, how public safety is going to react to things. So we want to make sure that everybody has that information, because it's going to be crazy here for 3 or 4 days, probably 4. And down there on the riverfront, it'll be a little bit longer than that as we're setting up, because the festival starts Thursday. They'll probably be here Sunday or Monday to start putting stage up and doing all that kind of stuff. So
now you're a Clinton native, so you realized how big Riverboat Days was for a while. Put in perspective, what's this going to be like compared to Riverboat Days?
So we are expecting 12 to 15,000 people each day. I think Riverboat Days was much more than that in its prime time. I think I've heard 30,000, I've heard 20, 25, so anywhere in that range.
Okay.
The difference is going to be, so the riverfront's going to be shut down like it was during Riverboat Days. Right. You're not going to be able to drive up on the levee. You won't be able to walk up there for those 3 days because obviously we got to keep the control of the area just for the patrons coming in. So it'll be similar in that. The difference a little bit is Riverboat Days was more spread out because you had the tractor pulls, the carnival, the beer tent, and the bingo tents, and the vendors and all that stuff. So this is just going to be more concentrated into that Allied property and then in front of the bandshell area. So you're gonna, and I think they probably still had 12 or 15,000 people over there when the concerts were happening. Right. So it's more going to be 3 full days of that in one area. So think about like the concert at Riverboat Days, that lasting from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. For 3 days. I think after the headliner gets done at 11:30, most people won't stay, but there'll be a DJ after party kind of thing until 2 a.m. each day. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's just basically going to be that concert setting all day long for 3 days.
Sponsorships, how's that coming along?
We're doing really good. We are super proud to welcome Wild Rose Casino and Hotel as our title sponsor. That's really cool. It was a good conversation with them. They were excited. I think it's a great fit with the concert setting and kind of what they do at their place. So we're excited to have them on board. We've got a good handful of local businesses that have jumped on as sponsors already. Josh Eggers and I, we put together a sponsorship team, and that next Wednesday we're going to meet with them, and we're going to start kind of fanning out. And anybody that wants to be involved in a sponsorship, we would love to have you on board. We've got a lot of different options as far as dollar amounts or what you're interested in. We even have like corporate bulk ticket pricing. So if you're like a business and you got 500 employees, you want to buy 500 tickets, we can get you a good deal on buying all 500. So lots of different things coming up. So reach out to us if you're interested.
We got like 9 minutes left in the show. We could probably go another half hour here yet.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk redevelopment of the YMCA.
We can do this quick.
Yeah,
So we had a public meeting about redevelopment of the YMCA. We got about 500 surveys. We had a public meeting that a bunch of people showed up to and kind of voiced their opinion on what they think. The city owns that building. We're going to mitigate the asbestos and all that stuff out of it. And then we really want to get to redeveloped. I mean, obviously, residential living in downtown is a cool thing, but there's other options for commercial and things like that. So if you go on our website and look up the committee of the whole from this last Tuesday, really cool renderings of what it could look like with a developer. Anywhere from $3 million to $15 million of investment, depending on what you do. 2 levels, 1 level, 3 levels. Really cool to look at it. If you have feedback or ideas, take a look at that and then email me and let me know.
And while we're downtown, Wilson Building update.
Yeah, so they've been extended a couple times due to supply chain issues. If you drive by now, you see the new windows on the front side of the building on 5th Avenue South. Really awesome. They're getting that stuff rocking and rolling. So we're hoping like March, April timeframe, all the doors and windows will be in, and then they'll be able to start actually renting out. They've got 33 units, almost 100 people on the waiting list. So that bodes into the YMCA for redevelopment because people do want to live down there. So we could easily fill those spots if folks were interested with just that 100 list. So
this is kind of off, but right across the street is the old post office. What's the situation with that?
We don't own that building.
Okay.
That's owned by a private individual, so we don't really know what's going on. Obviously, it's not in great repair, but I don't have a whole lot of information on it because like I said, we don't own it. We don't like to own anything. The city, it'd be nice if we didn't own any buildings and people just made them beautiful and kind of ran on their way, right?
Monday is going to be Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there's going to be an event taking place, actually a couple of days.
Yeah, a couple events for that. The Clinton Community College, they'll have the Martin Luther King event, and that's in the afternoon, Sunday, January 15th. I went last year. It was a very, very good event. Good conversation. So head out to that if you can. That's at CCC. And then the Jetter Community Center does a soul food dinner. It's actually a lunch and a dinner every year. We always order in at the credit union and they deliver it to us. We've done that for several years. Outstanding food, and there's a lunch option and a dinner option. So the city's Facebook page, we posted the flyer for it. So go on there, it gets all your details. But I think that's a cool thing, and they're raising money. I went to their backpack event in the summertime. It's outstanding. I mean, hundreds of kids getting school supplies and things like that. So that's what that supports, is different events like that for our community. So I thought it was important to kind of highlight that.
I know Morgan had a couple of ladies in yesterday to talk about that event that'll be coming up. So
good.
I'm looking forward to listening to them. But if anybody's been down on 4th Avenue South and 3rd Street, they have seen all the work that is going on. I saw a bunch of Alliant Energy trucks were there yesterday. You always see electricians that are there. The brewery, of course, is what I'm talking about. How is that going?
This project is outstanding. I mean, I went in there when they first bought it, like they first did the media thing of it, and they bought it. And I went in there and looked at it. I'm thinking, I don't know how this is going to be a brewery or a restaurant, right? Well, the other day they invited me down, and I went through it, and it is completely transformed in there while still maintaining all the history of the building and history of Clinton. For that matter, and it is absolutely beautiful. When people walk in there, it will literally blow your minds. It is awesome. I mean, from the exposed brick to the refinished hardwood floors, and they put a couple bars and different things in there, and they built them, and it just like fits with the motif of the whole building. And he's got some different things from different places in the community. I know he got some glass from the Strand Theater, and that glass is going to be repurposed into the building, and they tried to maintain and keep as much history of Clinton in that as they could. And then the back wall has a big, and I can't remember what they call it again. It's a big painting type thing, and it's like these little glass things that are like about the size of a thumbnail, and they cleaned them all. And just from then until now, it was beautiful, and there still was plastic over it, so I couldn't really see it fully. Mm-hmm. I just can't imagine how it's going to shine. It's going to be beautiful when they get done. So now, do they have like a website people can go to and see how the progress is going? I don't think they do. Okay. But I'm sure they'll have plenty of pictures out there when it's done and from when it started, and it is awesome. It's really great to have them come into town, and not only have them come into town, but have them restore a building that probably was in danger of being torn down at some point. Mm-hmm. I mean, the roof had holes in it. It was not in good shape. So anytime we can keep stuff like that, and especially a building that was built in the 1800s, right? That's pretty cool. Seems like exciting things going on in downtown Clinton. Yeah, I'm excited for downtown, and I think adding the Wilson Building and more people living down there is just going to be more of a need for things to be down there. It's really cool that we have tons of great local businesses down there already, and hopefully with all of this stuff happening, not only the new businesses coming in, but the current ones hopefully all get highlighted, and they see a little bit more traffic as we're moving and shaking down there. Appreciate your time. Well, we got a couple minutes left yet, Scott. See, we got through it. Great, good job. We're into 2023, and of course we are just getting started with the year. Tailgate and Tall Boys certainly going to be a big event in 2023. But what are some of the other things that you see? You know, the riverfront. That is a big advantage of Clinton, is to have that riverfront. So we are actually doing a study with Retail Strategies as a riverfront study, and they're going to try to help us garner like what new things we could put down there, what types of attractions. Because and Councilmember Schemmers brought this up yesterday in a meeting, we actually have the largest riverfront per square mile in the entire state. And we need to continue to utilize that in the best way possible. So we're always focused on that. I know Lubbers Fountain is going to get some big upgrades coming up to it, so that's going to be redone. So that'll be really nice to see. And then obviously, Showboat, Candlelight, the marina. We're working on a study with the Corps of Engineers to figure out the silting issues in the marina area, because we want to make sure that not only for our marina patrons, but for people that are coming here, they can access in and out of the river from that 9th Avenue boat ramp extremely easily. Last year we had the fishing tournament here, and hopefully we can get more of those types of fishing tournaments and things here as well. There was like 100 boats, which that's really cool. So tourism is one thing that Leslie at Grow Clinton does really, really well, and we want to continue to attract things like that, because it shows off our community, and you're never going to move somewhere unless you've been there, right? So if we can get people here on the tourism side, hopefully they decide, hey, this is a great place, let's move there. And being a North Ender, what about that riverfront area? So the riverfront area up there is I'll say controlled mainly by the Sawmill Museum. They own all that land out in front there, except for maybe one plat. I actually met with them several months ago. They have a plan of how they would like to develop that area. I think they're just kind of trying to finalize that. And then obviously funding for a nonprofit. Funding is always an important piece too. They got a lot of smart people on their board to help work out with that. But they do have a plan. We just have to get to the point where they're able to execute that plan. And when they do, I think people will be extremely happy with what I've seen so far. Yeah, Matt Parv's been a great addition to our community. Oh, he's awesome. He really is. Hey, Scott, thank you so much. No problem.